Welcome to the Luna Syncrasy podcast, where we honor our cycles and the magic of the moon.
Welcome back to the Luna Syncrasy podcast.
If there was a way to make sure that all of the actions you were taking each day were giving you the results that you wanted, wouldn't you want to do that? That's exactly what me and Andrea Gray are talking about on our episode today. We're talking about the masculine and the feminine energies and what they are and how we can balance them to create the results that we want from our actions. So let's get to the interview. So I'm here with Andrea Gray, and I am very excited to welcome her on the podcast. Hi, Andrea.
Hi, Ruth.
So Andrea is somebody that I met when I was in training, and I wanted to give her a little chance to introduce herself.
Hi. So, Ruth and I met on a coaching course and immediately gravitated to each other. And my life looks like a stay-at-home mom. I have two young sons, and I'm also a transference healing advanced practitioner and teacher and mystery school graduate. Transference healing is a frequency modality of healing, which supports people who are interested in accelerating their ascension journey in this lifetime.
When I was thinking about the masculine versus feminine, I immediately thought of Andrea because I have a lot of masculine energy naturally, and Andrea can really balance me out with a lot of the more feminine energy.
Yeah, it's fun. We reflect and talk about this all the time. And we really do support each other when I'm feeling like I'm spinning my wheels, or I'm not sure where to start, or I feel distracted and ungrounded. Ruth has always been my inspiration because it amazes me what this woman can do in a day, and how she approaches her life and her time, especially. It really is a good balance for me because I tend to be, as she said, very feminine, and it's hard for me to pull in focus and create action. I'd rather just think about it or dream about it.
And I think Andrea is really starting to get into a lot of what these energies are. So let's kind of back up just a little bit, thinking about the feminine versus masculine energy. And I just want to say it is not gendered at all. Like, I am proud, I'm fine saying that I have the more masculine energy, but I don't consider myself like a masculine person, like physically, right? Like, I am still very womanly. So it's really not a gender thing. It's more about the energy that we have. It's like the yin and the yang. I like to think of it as like you can either do things or you can be there and receive things. You could be giving, you can be receiving. And so the feminine energy to me is more coming up with the ideas and being with yourself. The masculine energy is doing something about those ideas.
I think you said that so perfectly, Ruth. And I do want to speak to, the gendering, because my whole life, I've always been perceived and considered myself a tomboy. Have always, had men as friends. I like sports. So certainly it isn't a gender thing at all.
I'm interested in this because I've always been a total girly girl. So maybe we almost have to create some polarity within ourselves.
Yeah, that's
balance
really,
out.
that's something we haven't talked about already. That's really fascinating because I'm not into makeup. I have no idea how to put on makeup. My outwardly feminine physical expression and appearance isn't really something that concerns me. My experience of my feminine energy is completely internal, and I wanted to speak to what you said, Ruth. It's about being. my natural state of being is being with my perceptions, with my feelings, with, the dynamics of my relationships, especially within, my near and dear friendships and my family, obviously. So yeah, I think this is a really good illustration of, how each one of us as individuals can express these energies within one person and one life. It's not either or, it's definitely a both and it's really, I think the more that we can reflect on how we express these energies in our own selves is a really great way to start exploring these archetypes within yourself, is to just start taking notice of, oh, how am I expressing these two, the masculine and the feminine?
Yeah, and in which situations and with which people.
Triggers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I kind of want to go into more of like what exactly is the masculine. So like
Sure.
from my perspective, when you're overly masculine, you could just keep doing, doing, doing. And this is the rut that I have fallen into in my life, which is really why I want to help people get out of it. But you feel like you have this pressure to always be doing something, to always be working on something. Oh, you're sitting still, you're being lazy, like let's keep
Mm.
going. And I think that falls into the more unhealthy masculine energy, but really it is about getting things done. And you are, like you mentioned, with like time blocking and all of the different actions that can be taken. And that's really what the masculine energy is to me.
Yeah, so I did speak a little already to the how I experience the feminine. So the feminine qualities, are more receptive. They're like you said, being as opposed to doing. So it's how you receive input, how you feel about what's happening around you and in your relationship within yourself. Um, the concepts of, creativity, it's not the concept, but creativity and beauty. These are some of the things that the feminine principle represents.
And it's so interesting when you actually start thinking about these different energies, like Andrea was saying. What we find is that once you're all balanced, things just get done quicker. Like when you're all masculine, when you're doing, you could be doing the wrong things. The things that you're doing are not giving you the results that you want. And when you're only in the feminine, it's just you're thinking about things so much, but nothing actually comes to fruition. It never happens.
The way that I experience it is that it's hard, like it's all within me, all the ideas, the to-do lists, the things I would like to see in my life, my long-term goals, my short-term goals, they're all so deeply experienced and felt within me. It's the process of getting them out into the world and actioning on them that I struggle with.
Yeah. And then from me, it's just like, I don't even have a chance to sit and think about what I want to get done. I'm just always in motion. And so it's hard to take a step back and make that higher level plan that's going to move me forward. And
So
so,
what we really want is somewhere in the middle. We want that
yes,
sweet spot, right?
yes.
How we can do those two things or within and flow between them in any given moment or day or period of time.
So did you want to speak a little bit to that about how we
Yes,
can balance out a little bit
I
better?
would love to, because this is something that I have really spent a lot of time and put a lot of energy into figuring out what can work for me, as a way to do just that, to balance these two energies, and so that I see progress and have, a good feeling about how my life is unfolding. And so when we, in a physical sense, the masculine and the feminine are represented in our bodies and in our brain. So our left side is the feminine, which, you may have heard, people have talked about this in the brain for quite, a long time. It's been in our, wider social and cultural memory of, if you're more right-brained, then you're, well, the brain actually switches in the body. So maybe that's not a good place to start. But so in our physical corporeal body, the left side is our feminine energies, and then our right side is the masculine. And then in the brain, it switches. So the right brain would be our more feminine, artistic, creative qualities. And then the left brain is the more analytical and logical aspects of our consciousness. So,
and here's Andrea speaking my language. I love the science behind this. This brings me back to science class. Like, yes, I remember like the right side of the brain controls the left side of the body, and it just kind of flips within there.
right. And we have this fantastic little organ within our brain called the corpus callosum, which is actually responsible for making that crossover, making that switch. And I happen to know a lot about this because my son has a disability regarding that particular organ in his brain. So this is something I do think about and experience quite a bit in my life. Thinking about our body, the right side would be our masculine and our left, the feminine. And so, as we'd mentioned before, what we really are wanting to do is bring those energies into balance. And one way that we can do that is through meditation. So just dropping into our bodies and in that stillness, feeling, what any sensation, anything that feels tight, anything that feels, excited within our bodies, and identifying, which side and which energy that might be holding. And then through meditation and breathing, and even just our awareness of what we're experiencing in our body and our intention to bring it back into balance.
And so, Andrea, if people are interested in experiencing this kind of meditation, you have a free one that we can share with people, right?
I do. I'll basically would just love to share with you all what my practice is with this when I am trying to balance my energies. And on most days, if it's a good day, I'm able to do this at the very start of my day, and it really helps me to move throughout my day, at least with the awareness and the sense of what's going on, and that's incredibly helpful.
Yeah, and so we'll share a link to that meditation in the show notes. So feel free to grab a copy of it. And so that meditation is a really good way to help us get into balance, because hopefully you can see that getting yourself in balance is the way that we're going to best live our lives. So besides that meditation, how else can we actually balance our feminine and masculine energy? So as somebody with a lot of masculine energy, I know that I need to give myself more time to do nothing. My meditation practice, once I started that about 5 years ago, it completely changed my life. Just 20 minutes a day of slowing down and really feeling into my body has just progressed me further so much. I also can really read my body, and when I'm getting health issues, it's a sign to me that I need to take more breaks and I'm pushing too hard and my body's getting fatigued. And this is why following the menstrual cycle, like we've been talking about in previous episodes, is so important to me, because I can see that my body truly does need a break, and listening to that, it just totally changes everything. And then from the feminine side, it's really creating more structure in your life and having the tools to get things done. I think I've kind of like brought up a lot of the masculine ideas, but it really is being okay with taking those breaks, making space for yourself, and like listening to your body, understanding when you need those breaks, and your intuition. When you can really understand what source wants you to do, what you as a soul really want to do, and following that information, like that really changes everything, and you can take those actions and it leads you so much further than if you were just doing and throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks.
That's such a beautiful dovetail, Ruth, with how I was responding to what you just said, because coming from the feminine perspective, meditation, beginning my meditation practice was absolutely the turning point for me, because rather than spinning my wheels in my head and feeling guilty and unaccomplished about all the things that I wish or felt that I should be doing in my day, and I just couldn't seem to be able to, allowing myself that 15 minutes every day to go inward and center myself allowed me to be so much more productive and focused with what I chose to do in my day. And that also leads me, as somebody coming from the feminine perspective, one of the tools that I use to create balance in my life is, starting with that meditation point and really feeling into what are, the 2 to 3 to 5 things that really feel aligned in my day to accomplish. And then celebrating the ones that I am able to do and being gentle with myself about the things that didn't come to fruition. Because, I think there's also this piece of, societal pressure or familial pressure, just pressure to constantly be achieving and doing. Like you said, Ruth, whether we're coming from a masculine or feminine energy, I feel we all experience that pressure. So one of the teachings that has been really helpful to me, and how I think and move through my life in balancing these energies, is this idea of unity consciousness, which, is bringing the masculine and the feminine into balance. And one of the best ways to do that and to think about it is kind of what we were just talking about, Ruth, when we're centered within ourselves and we're in our inward space. That's the realm of the feminine. That's the source. And when we're in touch with that source energy and who we are as a soul and a person, and we create the things that feel most aligned to us, and then we take our action from that place. So it's this idea of always beginning with the feminine and then bringing it into the masculine and out into the world. And I think that if we are all able to do that, whether you're a man or a woman, gendered, or anywhere in between, this applies to every human, of being able to lead with the feminine and have that flow into masculine action in our lives.
And it sounds like that is the right way to live our lives. I wish more people were talking about this, and I feel like it's coming up more and more, but it just feels like as a society we would get so much more done if we were to lead with the feminine instead of constantly wanting to be doing.
And how much more compassionate and understanding and just nice to each other we could be if we all honored that process within ourselves, and then we're able to honor that with every person that we encounter. Whatever they're speaking, whatever they're doing, even if it triggers us, we have this come from of, well, that's their aligned action, and I can hold space for that. I mean, it would just be, our world would be such a different place.
Oh, I would love that.
I would too. Let's do it.
One person at a time.
One person at a time. It starts with us, doesn't it?
Yes, always. But on that note, is there anything else you'd like to share?
Just how much I've enjoyed this, and talking with you always is one of my favorite things. And I just really appreciate this chance to share these ideas with a larger audience. And I welcome any feedback, any questions. You can reach me through the meditation link, and Thanks for having me, Ruth.
Thank you so much. You were the perfect person to talk about the masculine and feminine with. Thank you.
Oh, thanks.
I hope you enjoyed that interview as much as I did. It was awesome having Andrea on the show, and we might be bringing her back to talk more about this topic. I think it goes really deep into the different cycles of our lives and how we have certain periods of masculine energy and certain periods of feminine energy, and how those things all join together.
So thank you so much for listening. We really appreciate you, and we hope to see you next time.
Bye-bye.